What's up everybody? Welcome back to the neighbor's kitchen. Today we're going to hit up the starters, appetizers, and snack category, and I'm going to show you how I make my garlic knots. These things have become a favorite of mine and some of my friends. This recipe goes over so well at parties, whether you are hosting or taking this over to a buddy's place. It's not that hard, doesn't take that much time hands-on. It's all set it and forget it kind of stuff. So hey, let's go ahead and get cooking. All right, the first thing we want to do here is get our yeast started, and I've been letting this sit out a little bit. All right, so we want to make sure our water is at the right temperature. I like between 100 and 110. That's 1 cup of water, tablespoon of sugar, 1 packet of active dry yeast, or 3 1/4 teaspoons. And we're gonna go ahead, take a whisk, get that all nice and aerated, and with a clean hand towel, we're gonna let that sit for about 10 minutes until it blooms. All right, it's been about 10 minutes, and you can see our yeast has bloomed. You can tell by the foaminess. Yeast needs 2 things to activate. It needs a source of food, that was the sugar, and it needs air, that's why you aerate it. So now that we got this in here, we're going to take our 3 cups of bread flour, and I'm just going to set this to the side for a moment, and it gets 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. With our whisk, we're going to combine all of those ingredients. What this does is just helps us get everything distributed evenly. If you did this all in the mixer bowl, you might have some knots that are more garlicky than others, so don't skip that step. Now over here, we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You could substitute that for 1 tablespoon of butter if you liked. And we're gonna add roughly a third to a half of our dry ingredients. Put in the dough hook. And on low, start getting it mixed up. You come in here and just move everything down to the bottom. Okay. Once that becomes all nice and combined, we're gonna go ahead and add the rest. Put it back on low and let that get combined. Already the smell of garlic is just everywhere. I love it. All right, here we go. I think we're a little dry. I'm gonna add just a splash of water. Yeah. That was quite literally just a splash. This is what we're looking for here. You see how it's not really sticking to the sides of the bowls? Sorry, I don't mean to shout at you guys. It's not sticking to the side of the bowl. And we're just gonna go ahead and let that knead. Every once in a while, I like to come in here. Just fold over on itself. And we're looking for a little bit more. I want to see my fingerprint bounce back. So we're almost there. Go ahead and give it another couple of minutes. All right, it's been probably 6 minutes or so. I'm gonna get this out of the way so you can see, and let's see if we're where I want to be. Yeah, you see how it bounces back? Not quite all the way, but a little bit. And you see how it's not sticking to the bowl? Look at that. That's how you know you got your mixture right. And that's why I kind of wrote this dough recipe, so that it is a little bit dry and you add a little bit, not too much. So what I do now is we're just going to do a quick coat around the side of olive oil. And I like to do a better job than that, but tripod's in the way. And we're gonna cover it with that clean towel again. We're gonna let it sit. Now, all the bread recipes that I've learned from to get to this point in my baking journey all say 60 to 90 minutes. The temperature that I keep my house, and I guess the humidity of my location, I'm always at the 90-minute mark, sometimes a little bit more. But what we're looking for is this. Here's a before shot. Boop. Should be about doubled in size. So, I will see you guys in 90 minutes. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left in our 90-minute rise period. So, it's smelling really good in the house, by the way, nice and garlicky. And we want to go ahead and start getting the topping going. I like to use this little, I don't know, saucepan, this little baby lodge, and we're just gonna put the stove on low. This is 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We're gonna let that get nice and melty for the topping of our garlic knots, and once this is melted, tripods everywhere. I'm running a little bit low, but we're going to douse our melted butter with Italian seasoning. If you can't find this, this is just oregano, basil, thyme, rosemary, and garlic. So you can make up your own and customize it how you want, but everything we want is in here, nice and convenient. So I'm gonna let that get nice and melted, and then we're gonna form these into knots, let them rise a second time, make some elevated marinara. And I forgot to mention in the intro, but I have an announcement for you. That is coming up right after we form these into knots. All right, we are all melted. I used to use my little saucepan, also from Lodge, but every time that I would use a seasoning like this in melted butter, it would just constantly, the seasonings would fall out of suspension and sit at the bottom. So I found this little mini skillet, kind of makes the surface area a little bit bigger, and it just makes it a little easier to keep this in suspension so that you're getting all the flavor on top of your knots. So we're just gonna go ahead and coat the top. I don't know, what is that, maybe half a teaspoon, and give it a good mix. And immediately, I'm hungry. That smells so good. And I just realized I did this out of order. So we're gonna leave that on, and it's just gonna sit there and cook for a little bit of time, because we want to put this on after our second rise. My bad. It'll be all right. Okay, let's form some knots. Okay, after that little faux pas, let's see how we have done. It's after 90 minutes. See how that got bigger in size? Huh? So we got a clean surface here, and we're gonna want some flour and a bench scraper and some clean hands. We're gonna punch that down like so, and get this like that. Leave that open in case you need it. See how nice and clean that comes out? That's what you're looking for. And I'm gonna take this, and we're just gonna roll it out into a log about, what is that, 14, 16 inches. And we're going to divide it into nice and even little pieces of dough. So what I like to do is just keep cutting everything in half. So there's our halves, quarters, eighths, there's sixteenths. Get yourself a nice floured workspace. And you want your other hand to be floury too. And we're going to roll these about like so. And you're literally going to tie a knot with it. Just a regular overhand granny knot. That's what we're looking for. So, obviously, this is going to rise a little bit more. So we're just going to go ahead and get this done here. All right, there we have them. They're, you know, I did, you know, C+ on getting them all the same size. So those are going to sit there on the pan for about another hour. I'm going to need a second towel. All right, so we're going to let those rise. I am going to move this over to the warm zone. I am so sorry that I screwed up the order of this video, but that'll be fine. I'll probably cover that with some tin foil, and honestly, that might be a happy little mistake because now all that Italian seasoning has time to inundate itself in the butter. So these are rising. We're going to get those baked. It is time to start our elevated marinara, but first, I'd like to tell you guys something. Last weekend, I reached 1,000 subscribers on the Neighbor's Kitchen YouTube channel. And I've been announcing for a while now that once I hit 1,000, I'm going to do a giveaway. I bought, with my own money, a Twin TempSpike from ThermoPro that I'm going to give to one of you as a thank you. This has been a dream of mine for longer than I know how to articulate. It has been a wonderful journey so far. I'm so excited to continue to grow. I hope you guys enjoy it, but I want to just take this as a moment to say thank you all, but to one of you, you're going to get this. And here's how it's going to work. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I need you to comment on this video. Comment, I don't care if you say hello, I don't care if you tell me I can't wait to try these garlic knots at home, whatever. Just subscribe, comment on this video, and then on February 28th, that's a Friday, we're gonna do it in the evening. I'm gonna fire up a live stream. We're gonna cook something, we're gonna hang out for a little while, and then I'm gonna fire up the laptop, and we're going to do a random comment selector. I'll reach out, I'll announce the winner. You got to email me at the email address we'll talk about on the live stream, and it is below. Give me your personal details, and I'm going to send you this as a huge thank you for your support. It means the world to me, and we're not going anywhere. We're only going up. Now, let's get to that marinara. Okay, you guys ready? This comes together pretty fast. So we got a small saucepan here, and we're going to crank it up to medium heat. And we're going to start out with these three ingredients. This is 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And don't worry about writing any of this down. I will get all of this in the description below. Let this get all melty. Butter is melted and it is hot. So now we're going to go ahead and add, this is 4 cloves of garlic. Get that in there, and this is half of a small, little larger than small, white onion. There's that. And we're going to go ahead and just let all this get nice and softened and super fragrant. Never hurts to add. Pinch of my 2-to-1. And just keep this going here for a little bit until it gets super fragrant. All right, it smells incredible in here, and our butter has started to brown, and I can tell with my spatula here that our onions have become softened. Everything smells great. So now we're elevating store-bought marinara. No, I've not learned how to make this on my own yet. That's what this channel is about. I love to do this. I love to learn new things, and I'm just bringing you all with me. So, into our butter and onion and garlic mixture, we're going to bring in, what is that, 24-ounce can of marinara. And the next step, speaking of cheating, why work harder than I have to? Here's some chopped Italian herbs, lightly dried. I think I got this after my grandma loved to save onto these little cups for my own stuff. And we're going to give it, we're going to start with that. We can always add more later. You can't take it out later. So we're going to go ahead and stir this all together. Make sure to get that butter nice and mixed in with the sauce. There we go. I'm going to cover it and crank it down to low. And we're going to let this simmer all the way up until we're done cooking our knots. So, the plan behind this, so this is not done, okay? This is actually, the intent was to add too much onion and garlic. Like, not actually too much, but it's supposed to feel like it's too much. And we're going to let it simmer. We're going to take a taste test and adjust the heat, not the temperature heat, but like the spice heat of the garlic and onion with a little bit of agave nectar. It's going to be awesome. So, the next time I see you, we will be putting these in the oven here in about, I'm not going to record this, about, it's 3:02. These have been rising for half an hour. Probably here shortly. I'm going to preheat ye old oven to 400 degrees. And yeah, see you guys in a bit. All right, it is time. We got our marinara over here simmering and getting all sorts of flavorful. The house smells wonderful. Let's take a look at our garlic knots. Oh yeah, look at that. So let's go ahead, get our butter. Just go ahead, make sure to keep that seasoning in suspension, and I like to keep a little bit on my brush. And we're going to coat the tops with this flavorful buttery goodness. This is going to help achieve a wonderful brown texture, and the dried seasonings we put in the butter are going to just open up and work as an aromatic as you're eating this. It's going to hit your nose. I first learned about garlic knots when I worked at my first big boy job. One of the pizza places we used to go to in our normal lunch rotation, you could order pizza by the slice, and you could order knots by the knot. Eric, if you're watching, you remember the name of that place? Okay, as we finish up here, you can see the use of my mini skillet worked way better, keeping the dried seasonings in suspension and on my brush. So I am a big fan of that trick. Wonderful. There we go. And preheated oven, middle rack. In case you're wondering why that says 425 when I told you 400, it is because my oven is so cool, it wears its sunglasses inside. Okay. Our timer is going off at 20 minutes. We got a golden brown color. You ready? garlic knots, ladies and gentlemen. Set this over here. Okay, whenever I'm using cast iron for baking bread, I like to immediately remove them and put them on a wire rack because the cast iron holds heat for a little while and they'll continue to bake. And we want to stop right at that nice golden color there. We don't want them to burn. So we're just going to transfer them over here. I didn't do a very good job at getting them equal sized, but whatever. So we're going to let those cool. I'm going to cover them up with this just so that they cool slowly. And I will see you when we tear into this and see what we have done. Okay. All right, it's been about an hour. These have been cooling, so they are safe to handle and eat. And we have but one thing to do, and that is finish our elevated marinara. So we're going to give it a good stir here. Before we serve this on our little board, we just want to make sure there's nothing missing here, which there should be. Oh man. So there's so much garlic and onion in there. We need to balance it out. So we're going to balance it out with a little bit of agave nectar. We're just going to start with a little. This stuff's killer. Let's get that stirred in. Now, honestly, that was probably not even a half teaspoon. You got the acidity of the tomatoes. And then we added a bunch of spices, not pepper spices, but like herbal spices with the garlic and the onion. The creaminess of the butter. So it just needed a little something. That's it. That's it. Let's go ahead and get our appetizer all nice and displayed. I think we need one more thing. Our Italian herbs, I think, deserves a little. Whew. That'll do. So there we have it. We have our 16 garlic knots, elevated marinara, nice and dressed out with some Italian herbs, served it up on this cutting board that matches the same shape and profile as the Lodge pizza pan. Now there's but one thing to do, and that's try it. So look at this. Golden brown, top and bottom. Nice and fluffy. You ready to see here what we got? Look at that. Nice and fluffy. Tears apart into pieces as the way it was intended. Let's grab a little marinara. Oh man, that smells so good. It's not even fair how good this is. I want a little more of that marinara. Oh my God. I'm sorry, did I open up this video saying this was supposed to be a snack? There's nobody else here with me. I'm making this my dinner. Wow. This is one of my favorite things that I've learned how to make recently. Like I said earlier, I took this to where I stayed for New Year's. Everybody loved it. It was great. Actually, people liked the marinara sauce more than the garlic knots because everything else that everybody brought, they were just dunking it in the marinara like, whoa, you gotta try these mini corn dogs in there. Oh, you gotta try the mini burgers. Oh, you know, cheese. Great. So that was a lot of fun. You guys have to try this at home. It's so good. I will write up the recipe so it's hopefully easy to understand and follow along. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. Make sure that you are subscribed and comment on this video for a chance to win this Twin TempSpike. And until next time, be well. I'll see you next week. I have no chance at being keto ever again.